There comes a quiet season in life when the air feels different, when time no longer rushes, but whispers. If you love an elderly parent, a grandparent, a mentor, or a neighbor who once stood like a mountain in your childhood, this message is for you. Sit with it. Feel it. Because sometimes, the greatest act of strength is not denial, but awareness. Stoicism teaches us that death is not an enemy. It is nature completing its circle. But wisdom also teaches us to prepare our hearts while there is still time to speak, to forgive, to hold a trembling hand. There are signs, subtle, often misunderstood, that may suggest an elderly person is entering their final chapter. Not to frighten you, not to make you hopeless, but to help you act with courage and compassion. The first hint is a deep and lasting withdrawal from life. Not just tiredness, not just a bad day, but a steady retreat. The once talkative father grows silent. The grandmother who loved her garden no longer steps outside. Calls go unanswered. Meals remain untouched. They are not simply resting, they are disengaging. The Stoic understands this. When attachment to the outer world loosens, something within begins preparing for departure. The second hint is a noticeable and unintentional weight loss. When the body begins to release its strength, appetite fades, muscles weaken, clothes hang looser than before. This is not about vanity or dieting. It is about the body slowly conserving energy. The body, like a candle, burns lower before it goes out. Do not ignore this quiet message. The third sign is increasing fatigue and sleep. Long naps stretch into entire days. Even simple tasks, standing, bathing, walking a few steps, feel like climbing a mountain. This is not laziness. It is the body redirecting its energy inward. Nature is wise. When the final season approaches, it invites rest. The fourth hint is frequent infections or hospital visits. The immune system that once fought bravely begins to surrender small battles. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, recurrent illnesses. Each one leaves them weaker than before. The Stoic does not rage at this. The Stoic observes and prepares. The fifth and perhaps most profound sign is emotional closure. They begin speaking of, when I'm gone. They give away cherished possessions. They settle old disputes. They speak in reflections more than plans. It is as though they are tying invisible knots, ensuring nothing remains undone. Now listen carefully. This is not a prediction. It is awareness. Only the divine knows the exact hour. But when these signs gather together, they form a pattern that calls for presence. Let me tell you a story. There was a daughter who noticed her father slowing down. He had been a disciplined man, waking before sunrise, walking daily, speaking with firm clarity. But over months, he began to sleep longer. He stopped tending his tools. He gave away his favorite watch to his grandson, saying, "Time should be worn by young hands." She dismissed it at first. "He's just aging?" she thought. Then one evening he asked her to sit beside him. He did not speak of fear, he spoke of gratitude. He told her he was proud. He apologized for being strict when she was young. He said, "Life is short, but it is enough." She felt something in her chest that she could not name. Instead of ignoring it, she leaned in. She visited more often. She cooked his favorite meals. She asked him about his childhood. She recorded his stories. She held his hand without looking at her phone. Months later, he passed peacefully in his sleep. At the funeral, she did not collapse in regret. She grieved, yes, but her heart was steady, because she had not ignored the signs. She had chosen presence over denial. This is the power of awareness. Stoicism reminds us, you cannot control when someone leaves this world, but you can control how you show up before they do. If you see these hints, withdrawal, weight loss, growing fatigue, repeated illness, emotional closure, do not panic. Do not become dramatic. Become steady. Speak the words you've been postponing. Ask the questions you were too busy to ask. Resolve old tensions. Forgive quickly. Listen deeply. Sit beside them even in silence. Sometimes the greatest gift is simply being there. Understand this truth. Preparing does not mean giving up. It means honoring reality. The Stoic does not hide from nature's course. The Stoic walks beside it with dignity. And if the final year is indeed approaching, make it sacred. Fill it with warmth instead of fear, with laughter instead of awkward silence, with stories instead of screens. Because one day the chair will be empty, and when that day comes, you will not remember the errands you ran or the emails you sent. You will remember the afternoons you chose to stay, the conversations you chose to have, the courage you chose to show. Life is fragile, but love is strong. Do not ignore the warning signs. Do not waste the remaining sunsets. Time does not shout before it leaves, it whispers. And the wise, they listen. There is a quiet temptation in the human heart to look away when reality feels heavy. When an elderly parent begins to slow down, when their voice grows softer, when their steps lose certainty, many choose comfort over truth. They say, it's just age. They say, they'll bounce back. They say, there's still plenty of time. Denial feels gentle in the moment, but it steals something sacred, the chance to be fully present while presence is still possible. To choose presence over denial is an act of courage. It is not dramatic, it is not loud, it is steady. Stoic strength does not resist nature, it respects it. Aging is not an accident. Decline is not a betrayal. It is the body fulfilling its contract with time. When we deny this, we do not protect ourselves from pain. We only postpone understanding. Presence begins with observation. Notice the subtle shifts. The conversations that once flowed easily now require effort. The appetite that once signaled enjoyment now fades into indifference. The laughter that once filled a room now arrives in smaller doses. These are not merely inconveniences. They are signals. Not alarms meant to create panic, but whispers meant to awaken awareness. Denial keeps you busy. Presence makes you attentive. Denial says, I'll visit next week. Presence says, I'll sit with them today. Denial scrolls through a phone while they speak. Presence looks into their eyes and listens to every word as if it were a rare treasure. Denial avoids uncomfortable conversations about health, fear, or mortality. Presence leans into them with calm strength. The Stoic mindset teaches that we cannot control outcomes, but we can control our responses. If an elderly loved one is showing signs of decline, withdrawing from social life, sleeping more, losing weight, speaking often of the past, your task is not to predict the future. Your task is to honor the present. There is profound dignity in acknowledging reality without collapsing under it. Presence does not mean assuming the worst. It means refusing to waste what remains. Time is the one currency that cannot be earned back. When you recognize that an older person may be entering a fragile season, you begin to treat ordinary moments as extraordinary. A simple cup of tea shared at the kitchen table becomes sacred. A slow walk down the hallway becomes meaningful. A repeated story about their childhood becomes valuable, even if you have heard it many times before. Denial breeds impatience. Presence cultivates patience. When they repeat themselves, denial feels irritation. Presence hears the deeper need, the need to be remembered, to be validated, to feel that their life mattered. When their body moves slowly, denial feels inconvenience. Presence adjusts its pace without complaint. When they express fear about becoming a burden, denial dismisses it quickly. Presence reassures with actions, not just words. Choosing presence requires inner discipline. It demands that you confront your own discomfort with aging and death. Many avoid elderly decline, not because they do not care, but because it reminds them of their own mortality. Stoicism invites you to face this truth bravely. You too are temporary. And precisely because life is temporary, it is precious. When you accept impermanence, your love becomes urgent in the most beautiful way. Not desperate, not frantic, but intentional. Intentional presence looks like asking meaningful questions. What was the hardest lesson you ever learned? What are you most proud of? Is there anything you still wish to say? Intentional presence listens without interrupting. It resists the urge to correct small inaccuracies in their stories. It does not rush them to finish sentences. It allows silence to exist without filling it with noise. Denial focuses on what is being lost. Presence focuses on what can still be given. Even in decline, an elderly person can offer wisdom, humor, memory, and love. Even when strength fades, connection remains possible, but only if someone is there to receive it. Presence also means practical attentiveness. Notice changes in behavior. If they are eating less, ensure meals are nourishing and appealing. If they are sleeping more, gently check whether discomfort or depression may be contributing. If they are withdrawing socially, create small opportunities for interaction without overwhelming them. These actions are not about control. They are about care. The Stoic does not dramatize. The Stoic prepares. Preparation may involve organizing important documents together. It may involve discussing healthcare, wishes calmly and respectfully. It may involve simplifying their environment to make daily life easier. These conversations can feel heavy, but they are acts of love. When approached with serenity, they bring peace instead of fear. Denial postpones these discussions until crisis forces them. Presence handles them while clarity still exists. There is a powerful difference between being physically near someone and truly being present. You can sit in the same room and still be distant. True presence requires attention. It requires putting aside distractions and offering undivided awareness. For an elderly person who senses their world shrinking, your focused attention becomes a lifeline. Often, as people approach the later stages of life, they begin reviewing their memories. They may speak of regrets. They may revisit old conflicts. They may question whether they were good parents or partners. Denial rushes to reassure superficially. Presence allows space for honest reflection. If they express regret, do not silence it. Listen. If forgiveness is needed, offer it sincerely. If gratitude is due, express it clearly. These exchanges heal invisible wounds. Presence transforms fear into connection. When an elderly loved one senses that their time may be limited, they do not always need solutions. They need steadiness. They need someone who does not flinch when the topic of death arises. Someone who can hold their hand and say, "I am here." Not with tears of panic, but with calm acceptance. To choose presence is to strengthen your own character. It trains you in patience, humility, and gratitude. It teaches you that control is an illusion, but compassion is a choice. There may be days when progress seems impossible. Days when they are confused, irritable, or withdrawn. Denial reacts emotionally. Presence remains composed. It understands that frustration is often fear in disguise. It responds with gentleness instead of defensiveness. Remember that elderly individuals often feel a loss of independence. Their world may feel smaller. Their abilities may feel diminished. When you remain present, you restore a sense of dignity. You ask for their opinions. You involve them in decisions. You respect their autonomy wherever possible. Presence is not about hovering. It is about honoring. It is also about managing your own expectations. You cannot reverse aging. You cannot guarantee recovery. But you can ensure that loneliness does not define their final chapter. Loneliness is often more painful than physical decline. Your steady companionship counters that silent suffering. There is strength in routine presence, regular visits, consistent phone calls, predictable gestures of care. These patterns create stability in a season that feels uncertain. When they know you will show up, anxiety decreases, trust deepens. Presence also requires emotional honesty within yourself. You may feel anticipatory grief, a quiet sadness knowing that time is limited. Do not suppress it entirely. Acknowledge it privately. Reflect on it. Let it remind you of what matters most. But do not allow it to steal the joy of the moments still available. Stoic philosophy teaches that suffering often comes from resisting what is inevitable. When you stop resisting and start embracing the present, you experience a different kind of peace. Not the peace of avoidance, but the peace of alignment with reality. If the final year is indeed unfolding, you will not regret being present. You will not regret the afternoons spent listening. You will not regret the extra visit. You will not regret the patient responses. But you may deeply regret the moments lost to distraction and denial. Presence shapes memory. After they are gone, what will remain are the images of shared smiles, heartfelt conversations, and quiet companionship. These memories become anchors in grief. They become reminders that love was expressed, not assumed. Choosing presence does not remove sorrow from the future. It reduces regret within it. And perhaps the most powerful aspect of presence is this: it teaches you how to live your own life differently. Watching someone age with dignity reminds you that strength is not loud. It is consistent. It is patient. It is compassionate. As you sit beside an elderly loved one, you are witnessing the full arc of human existence. Youth, ambition, struggle, success, failure, resilience, all of it culminates in this quieter season. There is wisdom in that silence. There is instruction in that slowing down. Denial blinds you to these lessons. Presence reveals them. Every day you choose to be attentive, you are practicing courage. Every time you face reality without turning away, you are strengthening your character. Every moment you replace distraction with connection, you are honoring both their life and your own. In the end, presence over denial is not merely about preparing for loss. It is about living rightly while time still breathes between you. There is a strength that does not shout, a courage that does not tremble, a love that does not collapse under the weight of truth. Preparation with dignity is that strength. When an elderly soul begins to show signs that the final season may be approaching, the instinct of many is either to panic or to pretend. But dignity chooses a different path. It stands upright. It breathes deeply. It accepts reality without surrendering to despair. To prepare with dignity is not to predict death. It is to respect life enough to handle it honestly. Stoic wisdom teaches that we do not control when the last chapter is written. We control how we conduct ourselves while the pages are still turning. Preparation is not about giving up hope. It is about replacing fear with clarity. It is about making sure that nothing important remains unsaid, undone, or unresolved. Dignity begins with calm acceptance. Aging is not an injustice. Decline is not a punishment. It is nature completing its design. When we resist this truth, we create unnecessary suffering. When we accept it, we create space for peace. An elderly person in their fragile season does not need exaggerated optimism. They need steadiness. They need someone who can sit with them and speak of practical matters without flinching. Someone who understands that organizing affairs is not morbid. It is merciful. Preparation with dignity may begin with simple conversations. Discussing medical preferences. Understanding their wishes about care. Clarifying who should make decisions if they are unable. These discussions are not signs of defeat. They are signs of respect. They ensure that their voice remains honored, even if one day they cannot speak loudly. There is profound reassurance in knowing that one's desires will be respected. When elderly individuals sense that their choices matter, fear decreases, anxiety softens. They feel seen not as burdens, but as human beings whose autonomy still holds value. Dignity also involves practical organization. Important documents gathered carefully. Financial matters clarified responsibly. Passwords, property details, instructions all arranged thoughtfully. These actions protect loved ones from chaos later. They transform confusion into order. Many avoid these steps because they feel uncomfortable. But discomfort is temporary. Disorder is lasting. Stoic discipline chooses temporary discomfort in order to prevent future suffering. Preparation with dignity also means emotional housekeeping. Old conflicts should not be left to rot in silence. If there are strained relationships, address them gently. Encourage reconciliation where possible. Apologies offered sincerely carry immense healing power. Forgiveness given freely liberates both hearts. An elderly person nearing the end of life often reflects deeply. They revisit their memories, their mistakes, their achievements. They may question whether they did enough, loved enough, mattered enough. Dignified preparation listens to these reflections without dismissal. It affirms their worth without exaggeration. It speaks truthfully of the impact they have had. Gratitude becomes a powerful tool in this season. Tell them specifically what they taught you. Remind them of the sacrifices they made. Share stories of how their strength influenced your character. These words do not inflate ego, they soothe doubt. There is also dignity in simplifying the physical environment. As strength fades, clutter becomes overwhelming. Clearing unnecessary items, organizing spaces, ensuring safety within the home, these small acts reduce stress. They make daily life smoother. They communicate care without pity. When preparing with dignity, tone matters. Conversations should be calm, not urgent. Respectful, not controlling. Collaborative, not authoritative. The elderly must feel included, not managed. Fear often arises around the topic of mortality. Some elders may express it openly. Others hide it behind humor or silence. Dignity allows space for honest dialogue. If they speak of death, do not rush to silence them. Do not immediately change the subject. Listen. Ask what worries them. Offer reassurance grounded in love, not denial. There is strength in saying, whatever comes, we will face it together. Preparation with dignity also includes managing medical care thoughtfully. Attend appointments attentively. Ask clear questions. Understand diagnoses without dramatizing them. Explore options calmly. The goal is not to chase every aggressive intervention at all costs, nor to abandon care prematurely. The goal is alignment with their values. If comfort becomes more important than cure, honor that. If independence matters deeply to them, respect it within safe limits. Dignity means aligning action with personal principles. There is a quiet heroism in preparing for what is inevitable. It requires emotional maturity. It requires confronting your own fear of loss. But in doing so, you become a pillar of stability. Consider the power of shared planning. Sitting together at a table, discussing wishes, organizing details, this process itself can create unexpected closeness. It signals trust. It says, I believe you are strong enough to talk about this, and I am strong enough to listen. Preparation also involves memory preservation, recording their stories, writing down family history, saving recipes, traditions, wisdom. These acts extend their legacy. They affirm that their life will continue to influence generations. Dignity is found in honoring legacy without clinging desperately to the present. As physical strength declines, emotional sensitivity may increase. Patience becomes essential. There may be frustration, mood swings, or moments of sadness. Preparation with dignity responds with steadiness. It does not react defensively. It understands that vulnerability often manifests as irritability. Offer reassurance through consistency. Visit regularly. Call consistently. Keep promises. Reliability builds security. There is also dignity in maintaining normalcy where possible. Continue celebrating small occasions. Share meals. Watch familiar shows together. Routine comforts the aging heart. It reminds them that they are still part of daily life, not merely waiting for an end. In preparing with dignity, avoid turning every interaction into a solemn farewell. Life continues until it does not. Laugh when laughter arises. Smile genuinely. Enjoy shared moments without constant heaviness. Stoic composure does not eliminate emotion. It regulates it. You may feel sadness while organizing documents. You may feel grief while discussing medical wishes. Allow the emotion to exist internally, but do not let it dominate the space. Your calm presence reassures them. There is wisdom in balancing hope with realism. Hope for good days. Hope for comfort. Hope for peace. But do not build false narratives that ignore visible decline. False hope can isolate an elderly person who senses the truth but feels unable to speak it. Preparation with dignity validates their awareness. Sometimes an elder will begin giving away possessions intentionally. Jewelry passed to a granddaughter. Tools gifted to a grandson. Books distributed among family members. These gestures are rarely random. They are symbolic. They are part of emotional closure. Receive these gifts with gratitude, not resistance. Arguing against them may unintentionally dismiss their internal preparation. Instead, thank them. Honor the meaning behind the gesture. Dignity also involves protecting their independence wherever feasible. Even small choices, what to wear, what to eat, when to rest, should remain theirs if possible. Removing all control can strip away self-worth. Support without suffocating. As caregivers or family members, you must also prepare yourself. Reflect privately on your responsibilities. Seek guidance if necessary. Understand legal frameworks. Plan logistics thoughtfully. When crisis arrives, clarity prevents panic, preparation reduces chaos. Chaos intensifies grief. There is also dignity in spiritual reflection, according to personal beliefs. Some may wish to reconnect with faith traditions. Others may desire quiet contemplation. Support whatever brings them inner peace. If they express unresolved regrets, address them compassionately. If reconciliation is possible, facilitate it. If not, help them find closure internally. Remind them that imperfection is part of being human. Preparation with dignity is ultimately an expression of love that refuses to be careless. It acknowledges that the final chapter deserves as much respect as the first. Birth is prepared for with excitement and planning. Why should departure be met only with avoidance? When handled with grace, preparation transforms fear into empowerment. It allows the elderly individual to feel that their life is concluding on their own terms, not in confusion. And when the inevitable moment eventually arrives, whether sooner or later, those who prepared with dignity will carry grief, yes, but not disorder. Sadness, yes, but not regret born from avoidance. They will know that conversations were had, that wishes were honored, that love was expressed clearly and often, that strength was shown not through denial, but through disciplined compassion. Preparation with dignity is not about expecting the end tomorrow. It is about ensuring that whenever it comes, it finds you steady, respectful, and at peace with how you chose to stand beside the one you love. As we reflect on these truths, one thing becomes clear. The final season of life is not a time for fear, but for courage. Not a time for denial, but for presence. Not a time for chaos, but for dignity. When the signs of decline begin to appear, the quiet withdrawal, the deepening fatigue, the emotional closure, they are not invitations to panic. They are invitations to love more intentionally. To choose presence over denial is to honor the moments that still remain. It is to sit a little longer, listen a little deeper, and speak the words that truly matter. It is to replace distraction with attention and avoidance with awareness. In doing so, we transform ordinary days into sacred memories. To prepare with dignity is to respect life enough to handle it honestly. It means organizing what must be organized, resolving what must be resolved, and expressing what must be expressed. It means protecting their wishes, preserving their legacy, and ensuring that when the time comes, there is peace instead of regret. Strength is not found in pretending the end will never arrive. Strength is found in standing calmly beside reality. Life is fragile, but love is powerful. And when we act with discipline, compassion, and courage, we give our elders the greatest gift, the assurance that they are not alone, that they are valued, and that their journey is honored until the very last breath. May you choose awareness over avoidance, courage over comfort, and dignity over fear. Thank you for listening. May peace guide your heart and God bless you always.